Thanks very much for accepting our interview, Mr. Peter Daszak. So first, congratulations on the final report, which is now public. And we know that report says that the lab leak theory, which is controversial, is extremely unlikely. How did you back then reach this consensus? You're not rolling it out, but still it is a hypothesis for even there is no recommendations in the report for the next study, but we know that the WHO chief on Tuesday also said that he is ready to deploy an additional mission involving some specialist expert on this. What is your view on that?
Well, first of all, we looked at a lot of different pathways that this virus could have possibly taken. Every pathway it could have taken, really, from the wild into Wuhan to cause this pandemic. And what we tried to do is weigh the evidence for each pathway. And when it came to the lab leak hypothesis, we just didn't see significant information that suggests that happened. I mean, as a scientist, you can only deal with the evidence that you see in front of your eyes. And if it's not there, then you can only come to the conclusion that it's extremely unlikely, which is, by the way, a unanimous conclusion. And everybody knows that I have strong collaboration with the Wuhan Institute of Virology for many years. So I very carefully waited until everyone else had passed their opinion before passing mine. It was unanimous. There's not really any evidence for a lab leak so far released. And what can we say? You can never, as a scientist, rule out an idea. Some evidence may appear one day, but nothing there. In terms of what's been stated about further work, in the report, we lay out recommendations for each pathway. For the lab leak hypothesis, we talk about if any evidence comes up in the future, then that should be followed up. And that labs of this type, biosafety labs globally, should have the correct sort of inspections and considerations. I don't know what that will lead to in the future. That's not my business. As a scientist, we're assigned to look at it and to say, is this important or is it not important? And we found that it was extremely unlikely.
Yes. During that discussion, I think you also pick up a very interesting question, because I know that some Western media also talk about your association with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. They also refer to Madame Marianne Koopmans, who had a really good cooperation with Chinese institutes, and they believe that you are involved or you are getting any fund of that. What are your takes on these claims?
Well, it's disappointing. Of course, I have collaborations with many Chinese organizations and institutes, because we all work on these viruses. And let's not forget SARS, the original important coronavirus, emerged in Guangdong, and that's why we're working in China collaboratively with China CDC, Wuhan Institute of Virology, and many other organizations, because we want to stop this happening. That is exactly what scientists should do. Global cooperation is what we have to do to fight these viruses. They look at us as one planet. They look at us as one species. They don't check our passports before they infect us. They don't consider our ethnicity, our race, our wealth, our religion, our belief systems. So if we're going to really fight viruses, we're going to have to fight them together. It's pretty clear.
Sure, good point. But when it comes to the cooperation with China, there is still mentality going on that, because they question your independence. That's the reason why we've seen earlier this month that 26 scholars in an open letter said that they're disagreeing with your conclusion, and they say the research, I quote, anything less than absolutely rough and credible. And what is your response to this, given the organization sent the expert team to study the situation on the ground?
Well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. WHO picked a group of scientists who are leaders in their field, people like Fabian Leendertz, who helped understand where West Africa Ebola came from, people like Marianne Koopmans, who's done all this amazing work on the mink outbreaks in Europe, and following all this virus evolution. So I'm one of those experts. I happen to be one of the few people in the world who's been working in China for 15 years now on coronaviruses of bat origin, which this almost certainly is. So it makes sense that I'm part of the team. All of my collaborations are publicly known. They're reported in every paper we publish, and we've published many. And the collaboration is open and transparent, and I hope that stands. And I think history will judge it as the correct thing to do.
The US side also said that China did not provide the full access and pertinent data. What is your take on these claims about the Chinese side dealing with the WHO's coming?
Well, from day one of leaving Wuhan, we've had these media reports about lack of access, lack of transparency, lack of openness, lack of data. I challenge those people who believe there's a lack of data to read the report. It's hundreds of pages packed with information that's not been seen before. Thousands of samples tested and reported in that report that have never been published. Interviews with scientists, with the original clinicians who found the first cases of COVID. This is new information, new data. And I think it's very successful, and I'm very proud of that report. We also talk about the next steps, and I do take some support from the statements that have been made out of the US White House, for instance, that they strongly support moving to the second phase. We all do. It's in the report. Those are the recommendations. China has signed on to that, and we all look forward to that work beginning.
Sure. Talking about the next steps, you estimated that the results of the origins could come out very soon, fairly soon, within the next few years. But it seems that it will take quite more time for you experts to collect integrated data at the global level. For example, you referred to the Southeast Asia as the potential hotspot. Is this unanimous clue among your experts?
Oh yeah, every recommendation in that report is unanimous. It's a consensus report. We all agreed to it. We all signed off on it. But in terms of how long will this further work take, I go back to what happened after SARS, the outbreak in Guangdong. Initially, we thought civets were the source of the outbreak, but not really the reservoir. And it took us a couple of years to find bats, working with Xu Zhengli at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, actually. And then another 3 years, perhaps, to find the real progenitor viruses, the virus that gave rise to SARS coronavirus. So this does take time. I'm sure, given the intense scrutiny and interest, it will be quicker this time, but we will get there, and we will get there by international collaboration and cooperation and mutual respect.
So are you still that much optimistic about the results, about the research moving forward amid these political sensitivities?
Yeah, I stand resolute against these political attacks that we see every day. Look, when I came to Wuhan with this mission, we didn't know what we were going to be shown. We didn't know how straightforward this work would be or how difficult. What we saw every single day was new information, critical new information, and we saw scientists who were willing, ready, and able to cooperate and collaborate with us. So I remain even more optimistic, and I'm looking forward to the next 2-3 years as we dig in deeper and really get to the bottom of this and trace back the origin of this virus. It will have begun somewhere in the region of Southeast Asia or South China. We don't know exactly where. It looks like the wildlife markets and trade networks may have played a key role, but we will get there. We will find out, and that information will be very rapidly shared with the world, which is what we need to do.
Thanks so much for your time, President.
My pleasure.
And wish you good luck to your work, and hope that next time and when you are visiting Wuhan or visiting China, I could be around. Thanks so much
I look forward to that.
Yeah, thank you.